Alright, good morning everybody. I want to share with you guys a quote that I thought is kind of important that we all should know. Never look down on anyone unless you're helping them up, by Jackson. So, I'm going to have to agree with this quote. I think we all here can relate with each other about having a time, whether you're at school, maybe a teacher, at work, your boss, or family member, your parents, looking down on you and just pounding you to the bone, saying, you did this wrong, you don't do anything right, just no help at all whatsoever. So, I'm going to go over a couple ways, school, work, family, on how this is an agreeable statement. So in our work life, we have bosses, we have coworkers that are older than us. And for me, I work at a beach environment. I work with children, I work with older people that are in their 50s, I work with a lot of people. And I remember my first year working there, I screwed it big time. And I remember standing like this, I was 16 years old, and these two guys, big, buff, and mighty, they're all like walking up to my tower, and they're like, you know what you did wrong. And I was like, yes, I know. And they're like, well, don't do it again, and leave. And that was just so life-changing for me, because first of all, I knew what I did wrong, but it was also really hard to be looked down on like that from people that are older than me when I was so young, that I know if somebody was there to help me, it would have been a lot easier on me. And so when I worked with my kids, I never looked down on them, I never scolded them, I never tell them, you're not doing it right, do it better. That's not the way to go. It's better if you help people up when they're not in the right direction, and I think that goes for a lot of other things, such as your family members. Maybe you guys don't get along with your siblings, or maybe you guys don't get along with your parents. We've all been there. And my sister, she's 16 years old. She's crazy. And I remember when I was her age, I remember being that crazy 16-year-old, where your parents were just, no, you can't go out past 10 o'clock. Or, no, you're on restriction because you lied to us about where you were going to be. And yeah, she yells at my parents, and my parents yell back at her, but I don't ever look down on my sister. I don't ever want to put her down more. I don't want to make her more depressed than she already is. So I try to be there for her and to help her up when she needs me, because I'm her big sister. Also, another place is school. And I'm sure we've all been in a somewhat similar situation where maybe the kid in front of you is way smarter than you are, and it's like, well, I got an A on my test. I don't know why you got a C. That's ridiculous. Or, you know, a teacher is like, well, this is pretty easy material. I don't understand why you guys don't understand this. Yeah. I'm sure being looked down in a school environment is pretty intimidating, especially when you're in college. There's a lot of people that are older than you. Maybe there's people younger than you that are smarter than you. But so that's where we all need to come together and just to not look down on anybody, because it's hard when you're being looked down on. And I think the only way to help people is to not look down on anybody and to help them up when they really need it. And that's just some life advice.
No, thank you.
Okay.
Souvenir for the day.
I know. Yeah, seriously. I already know this. I should have to learn it again. I'm like, one more time. Because I know.
All right, well, I think that you've got a reasonable interpretation of the topic. You set it up pretty well with the preview. It's interesting the number of times that I hear the same kind of supporting points that people are talking about. There are other contexts to look at. It's not criticism of you. I'm just noting that I think I've heard, everybody say work, school, and home, that kind of thing, several times in the last couple of days. So people kind of get hooked on something and they're just going to go with it. But it was structured, so that I think I appreciate. And those are probably easy places to look for experience to talk about also. I think your voice needs to project a little bit more. I've been saying this consistently to people. One of the things that I think is a little problematic is that you drop your voice regularly, and sometimes it's for effect, but then you're not making the extra effort to bring it back up again, and I think you just kind of get into the habit of, oh, well, this will be a conversation as opposed to a speech, which requires just a little bit extra effort that you're putting out. It wasn't a big deal. It's not a huge flaw. It's just something to watch for. Maybe you'll notice it when you're listening to the video. I do think the pacing is a little problematic, especially at the beginning. It feels like you are very slow to get started, like you've fallen behind before you get to the body of the speech. Once you get there, you're doing okay, but there are a couple of spots where it does slow down again, and that felt awkward. I like the vivid gestures that you have, the facial expressions. You're very animated when you're talking to us, and you do characters, and that's kind of fun, and it's a little bit more engaging and involving, so that works well. You do want to be a little careful. I saw this in your presentation. I was going to mention it to, I think, the previous speaker also. People sometimes have a tendency to stand with one foot in front of the other or the ankles crossed, and you end up looking a little unbalanced. So you want probably better if your feet are parallel to each other so you don't have that kind of an issue. All right. Thank you.